Auditions.
And spread Halloween, my minions.
I'm the Keymaster! Universal Orlando Resort Halloween Horror Nights. Select nights, September 1st to forever. This event is the greatest to ever live. HHN 28 and HHN 29 was peak. Remember that, folks. And with that being said, how's everybody doing this fine Tuesday evening here for a very simple, laid-back live stream?
You gotta add in at the end of that little like commercial, you gotta add in like a scream cam.
Oh yeah, yeah, like
You
the
know,
typical HHN. Do we have one? We don't really.
You have one from Scream Again.
We also got one from Sir Henry's, but we don't have anything really from HHN. I mean, we have like the one where we're going through the weekend house, but we're kind of dancing.
Yeah, not really.
Anyways, hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Great to see you guys in one little tiny lens, you know? Good seeing you. Anyways, happy Tuesday evening, everybody. As you can see, talking HHN, I got my Hawaiian shirt on. Steph's got her cool little skeleton bedazzled tee on.
I like this shirt.
Yeah, we are ready to rock and roll today with some HHN conversation. brief topics that we're going to be going over today. Just chatting with you guys, keeping the ball rolling, and hopefully getting some official stuff soon and getting some more videos out for you guys. So yeah. Hey, shout out to Steph, by the way. While I've been at work and stuff, she had some free time and put together some of those funny videos that we had on Instagram and on TikTok and all that stuff. And the one on TikTok like blew up, got a couple like 100,000 views or whatever. And it's actually really funny with Dwight and Oscar. Yeah. But it's kind of relatable, you know, like that's just how we live like 24/7, except we don't have friends. So it's just me.
Yeah,
and
right.
stuff,
That is true.
So anyways, I hope you,
when I was making that, I was going to like, the trend is saying like all the ones that I've seen are like, oh, I tell my boyfriend we just need to run some errands, and then it's like Target and Starbucks and everything, and Oscar's like, where, Dwight? And I was gonna put, you know, when I tell my boyfriend, like, I made plans for us September 1st, but to like go with the trend, but I was like, all of you guys would be like very confused because obviously Brian like wants to be there too, so yeah. I just changed it. Yeah.
But it worked out. Yeah. So huge shout out to Steph for doing that. But yeah, anyways, hope you guys are doing good this Tuesday evening. We got what's on our lineup. We're gonna be talking about, of course, that tent that popped up, the MIB tent and the purpose and what we think of it. I know we really haven't had the time to talk about the tent much. We did put together a short little video just kind of like showing that it popped up and letting it, you know, kind of reach out there for you guys to discuss and talk about and see what you guys think of the tent. We did that a few days ago, I think, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was Thursday. I can't remember. We've been so busy. I mean, it's every day just seems like a blur at this point. So we did that, and we kind of have a schedule going on that, you know, we're trying to abide by, and we're going to try to get into a rhythm where we give you guys a video a week, and then hopefully the live streams can get into a point where we get a live stream a week, and we just nonstop HHN leading up, because guys, 150 days, like it's right around the corner. I kid you not. We are officially 150 days away from HHN 32 happening, and I'm excited. I'm excited for this year, but I do have some reservations for this year held back. Just because of all the construction going on in the park and all these changes. Universal's kind of in this
transition. Yeah,
this transition phase. So I kind of want to know what it's going to do to HHN this year, especially because Kids Zone and everywhere right now. But really, like, to me, my favorite thing about HHN is the atmosphere. Really, like, that's my number one favorite thing. And whenever it's like the whole park's on the construction, it kind of takes from the atmosphere. So it'll be interesting to see how HHN is this year, but I am nonetheless excited for it.
Yeah, I do feel like last year some of that atmosphere was missing with Shrek Alley being all under construction and like the Minion or like Shrek. That whole like front area being like just a wall. Yeah. I feel like it really took away from some of the atmosphere up there.
Felt weird.
Did feel weird.
I mean, it's honestly been feeling kind of weird, but I hope that it doesn't really have an issue into this year, and I kind of wonder how much of that construction they're going to have wrapped up leading into HHN. So, with that being said, though, we're going to talk about the tent. We're also going to be talking about something that's really exciting hearing about, and that is internal auditions for team members at Universal Orlando can now audition for Scareactors for this year's Halloween Horror Nights 32, which that's officiating some stuff right there. It's technically official work. So we're going to talk briefly about that. Obviously, not too much, whether or not Steph and I are going to reprise our roles and get back into that mode. But we're going to talk a little bit about that and just kind of chat with you guys and maybe talk a little bit about the schedule, and who knows, we'll see kind of what tonight goes on with the flow. It's going to be a very laid-back live stream, guys, even though the music in the background's freaking just bopping every single time.
Christopher.
Yeah.
Christopher's in the chat and asked us what are like, not like the houses that are going to happen, but houses that we want. And I think we talked about this last week, didn't we? But
I don't even remember what
we did a video on this. We did a video on this 2 years ago, and like our dream houses. I feel like it hasn't changed much.
Yeah. If we had to pick like one property to be featured at the event.
Bradley said Game of Thrones, don't get Brian started. And I said, please don't. Everybody knows
somebody say Game of Thrones.
Everybody knows you're going to say Game of Thrones.
Yes. All right. I guess you guys know me. So Game of Thrones for me, obviously. You guys want to talk about it? I mean, we have all night.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I'm sure they want to hear the same story that I've been talking about for 2 years.
No, it's all right.
It was the long night. All right. So
Santa Ben is on top of it. White Wedding music video for Game of Thrones. Someone has good memory.
I gotta be careful with my ideas, throwing them out there. I did see some videos how people talked about where they just talked with others, and then somebody would say a great idea, and then they would end up using it, and it worked for them.
Yeah,
and the other person's like, "Hey, wait a minute." So I gotta be a little careful with just throwing my ideas out there. I do feel like I just get excited. I just want to tell you guys, if somebody's able to actually make it happen, then by all means go for it. I don't care if it's my idea or not. Obviously, it kind of sucks, but it's like, hey, I just want to see it done. Period. But I want it done the right way. Do it the right way, guys. So, moving forward with today's live stream, guys, let's talk about that tent. The Men in Black tent that popped up over in, obviously, just the Men in Black area or whatever. Now, for you guys that don't know, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here for y'all to see this. Here's our Instagram page. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram. If you have an Instagram account, check out Brian from Orlando. Check us out because we do HHN stuff. Duh. That's what we are. HHN channel, right? However, we got some stuff here on our posts and stuff. We want to talk about the Men in Black tent, as you guys can see in the photo here. Which photo do you like better, babe? The first or the second one?
I feel like the first one gives you more of like that standard shot from by
Park
the Men
View?
in Black sign. Yeah.
So first one?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Can I expand it? No. Okay, never mind.
You can zoom in, maybe.
It is what it is. Well, there it is. So, for you guys that don't know, because we have a couple of people possibly in the chat that either this is their first year or last year was their first year. And if that's the case, then you don't really know much about the Men in Black tent, nor have you seen it in person. But the Men in Black tent, the last time we saw a house here featured was Scary Ohio Horror in the Heartland, which for HHN 30 back in 2021, that was our #1 most anticipated house and ended up not being our favorite house.
It wasn't bad. It
got better.
It didn't live up to our expectations.
No, it got better throughout the run, as all houses do. They usually always get better. But that was the last house that we had there.
Or Dead Man's Pier. I feel like that one.
I felt like, no, I just felt like it stayed. Yeah, it just kind of stayed.
Better,
it was great, and it just stayed great. But anyways, back to this tent. This was a house that we've had for years in this location previously, and then last year was the first year that we did not see this tent pop up. They actually flattened it out, and then this area just became part of the queue leading all the way to where Bugs Eaten Alive was, which was a long walk. It was a long walk.
Yeah, I hope.
I mean, you're walking long in HHN, so sorry, Steph, but like when people talk about like, oh, you're walking, period. I don't care if it's a mile-long walk in the queue line. Yeah. It's HHN. I'm used to it. But truthfully though, like I think if I'm not mistaken, from what I've heard and from what our sources have told us, this area was meant to be demolished. That's why the Fear Factor stage, they took Fear Factor away. They were going to demolish the stage, and that area was supposed to be an expansion to Universal. In some sort, I've heard, something with Harry Potter, dealings or something like that. And then earlier this year, we've heard from someone that they said that did not, it just plans fell through. Something happened, and voila, Fear Factor stage still stands. And guess what? This tent pops up. So we put it out there saying, oh, what do you guys think? Are we having an 11th house this year? Is this part of the 10 house lineup? Or is this going to be something based for storage in some capacity? Is this going to be holding the drones that Universal is going to be showcasing at their park? Is this going to be that little area for them to kind of like dock and all that stuff? They're loading, whatever. Or is this going to be like a makeup costuming tent or just a break space for these scare actors?
Yeah, I don't
or something even more that we haven't thought of yet.
Or something not for HHN.
Yeah,
we don't know what it is, obviously. Like from Park View, it looks exactly like the tent that's normally there for a house. But I saw some people saying in the chat, but we did see the aerial shots, and as of right now, it does look a little bit smaller than what
it
house
is.
Would be.
Yeah, It's smaller than what this tent used to be in its larger form.
Yeah.
However, though,
which was a small house to begin with.
However, though, I've been getting a lot of messages from people saying it's too small for a house, and I'm sorry, but to prove you guys wrong, this tent is larger than the Black Phone tent and the Freaky sections from Blumhouse last year.
That was one house.
Obviously, that they had those two parts to create one bigger house, but if you break those down as smaller sections, the Black Phone part, that tent, I believe, was smaller. The Men in Black tent from its size compared now, right? So that's the case. They could technically put a very small house there because Black Phone section for last year's event wasn't that bad. It was enjoyable. It did feel short, of course, but
I just don't
it's
know
doable.
why they wouldn't just do a normal size house if that's the case.
Yeah.
It's not like they don't have the space there.
Yeah, unless, though, they have something very special planned that none of us have thought of or we don't even know.
Yeah.
But my vote is this will not be converged into a house this year. I believe that this is simply just going to be like some storage space. And then when HHN comes around, they might even have the ability to use it as break space, costuming, makeup tent, or something like that in the nature, because the scare actors that work back there in the sprung tents and the parade buildings, it's very hard to have space in a sense for them. So having something like that to be used would be really, really nice and beneficial for them.
Yeah,
I mean, you've worked back there.
I know. I'm biased because I like that tent. I was a scare actor, and so I'm like, oh, I don't want that tent to be gone. Like, I want them to use that because, like, every time I go through it, I think of like when that was my house. But whatever.
Yeah, whatever, right?
I do think if they don't have that long walk back to the pot tents, that would be nice, because while we only did that walk a few times, I feel like we didn't go through bugs that much. And every time we did, we used Express. So our walk back there wasn't too bad. But I know a lot of people complained about it. So
yeah. I mean, I can imagine if you're waiting for the house and you're all the way back there by Men in Black.
There's nothing to look
just
at.
Nothing.
It's just like trees and...
You're by the apartment buildings and stuff like that, some residential area.
But Bryce did make a good observation that it's not as bad as the ones in Hollywood, the queues in Hollywood, where you have to literally walk like miles to get to a house.
Which I guess we'll get a peek of that this year.
Yeah,
get a taste.
Bring
of it.
our walking shoes.
Right. So, this tent and stuff, it does bring the question, because obviously, whether this is intended for Universal or not, this obviously is something that has been used in the past events for HHN. Obviously, it's been a haunted house in previous years, and now we find it popped back up in the park. These are from park views, this is not something that we snuck anywhere to get shots of. You can see this clear as daylight. And what was really cool about this location, something very special about this location that you couldn't get anywhere else on property except for one of the parade buildings closer to the run. But this was the only haunted house that when it was in construction, you can actually physically see from inside the park as a guest. Yeah. So whenever there was construction updates going on for HHN, or when you're walking around as a guest and stuff, you can physically see if a facade goes up for this house. You can see the construction actually be appearing from your guest views and stuff, because it's right there by Men in Black. You can clearly see it. That's how we got these photos. It's from the walkway. So that was a location that was really exciting to have in the lineup, because you can actually physically see that construction in progress and see what you're going to have as a house, whether or not they announced it. But it's cool getting that viewpoint. And then last year, that was something we just didn't have. So
yeah, we had to go watch Animal Actors and sit in the very top row and look over at
last year was for Descendants.
Oh yeah, I guess we didn't do that for Descendants. We
did
that
for Puppet Theater 30. So technically, you can even see one of the sprung tents from back there. But when you're just walking a guest path, along your pathway and stuff, there it is right there. Yeah. So I really do hope that this has something, a bigger role used for HHN this year. However, I think that it's going to be more in the backstage kind of use and stuff. But, the question is, I have a lot of people also talking about, well, maybe this might be a house because of Kids Zone and stuff. Now, I don't think Kids Zone is going to be that much of a problem as a lot of people are making it to be. I know we have B79 as a building that has their permits filed. Obviously, it's going to be another HHN house. Now, I thought I saw this some time ago, and I did some research today, and for some reason I cannot find it. But B108, that's the one that last year featured The Weeknd. I can't find a permit for that house. Now, if you guys know if that one, if you've seen B108 permits, please let us know in the chat. I don't know why. I feel like I know that was a permit that was filed, but maybe I'm just thinking of previous years. But I can't find a permit. I went online, I searched. I was barely even, for some reason, like Google's been screwing me up. Every time I search something, I'm getting different results, which is wacko. But I'm hoping, because if those two parade buildings are there, then you still have your original tent from last year that could be used and function. And then this popped up. So would they still have that walk around to the sprung tent, and then this is still in that guest area? But the question would be, is the Fast and Furious locations, when is, are those tents still up? And when is those tents going to go up if they're not up yet? That'll be the real question, because if they don't bring that up, then we got to start thinking, okay, seriously, where are we going to have the 10th house, if not even, the 9th house as well, in a sense? It's a good question, Sabrio.
I hope they use B108. I like that house. It's always a good house. It is always a good house. I think, what was the first year that they had it with Seeds of Extinction?
I didn't get to it.
That was a good house. And the Monsters, good house. Haunting Hill House,
greatest house, classic
house.
Monsters, and then Hill House, yeah.
Weekend,
which we posted that on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Weekend was good. Yeah, the parade buildings have been just solid all the time, because they're not soundstage type of level, but they're pretty big, and they've been able, obviously the best one that we've had facade wise, I think, out of all houses was Hill House. That was impressive how they were able to fit that in that parade building, and they made it of that scale. It just looked good. So
I like the Monsters facade too, but
Monsters was great. But I really hope that they do have B108 in lineup. So let us know. I'm not sure if somebody said in the chat yet, but yeah, I hope so. If it's not, then I really question where HHN has their mindset on the pathways and things. So hey, that's up to HHN, not us, I guess. Unfortunately, we're just fans of the event.
I think it's literally like a perfect location for a house. The break space, we know, like the break space is literally right there.
Well, they changed it, but yeah.
They did change that. Was a little funky.
That's internal
last year.
stuff. Don't worry about that.
But yeah, it's just like such a good spot.
Yeah. It's great. What was really cool is the fact that those two parade buildings, they kind of share something similar with the sound stages, how the sound stages are right there. You got all those lines going into the sound stages. So you see people going into other houses as you're going into a house. So you have this whole atmosphere and energy of people, getting ready, they're getting psyched, they're going to a house for, different themes. But the thing that the sound stages lack that the parade buildings don't is the fact that sound stages are just bare on the outside. There's nothing until you actually get in them. Yeah. Where the parade building, like, your experience starts when you get to that building itself. They have, they put usually murals on the walls and stuff. They have some projectors and some music. So obviously, like last year, if you're getting ready to go into Legends Collide, all you have to do is look over and you see everybody, getting ready to go in the weekend. You got, that's a vibe. So you can see that, you're like, oh, like, we got to go to that house. Like, I can't wait to go to that house, and vice versa. They're right there, so both of them feed off each other, and they both basically hype the guests up, saying, man, this is that atmosphere. Something where I think that killed Bugs last year for fans was the fact that queue line, and why people think it was so long, is just because how boring it was. You literally went in that back strip, you're all alone, you're as far away from the event as possible. And the thing that's my favorite thing about the event, and what I think makes the event very special and truly special, is the atmosphere. You can't be sending people way off with nothing, because it just it takes them out of the moment. You got to keep them in that bubble. You got to keep the music going. You got to keep the spirits going.
And they didn't have.
That's what they need.
And for Bugs, they didn't have and they didn't really have this too much for Wicked Growth either, or Depths of Fear. But I think back to Slaughter Cinema, and they had that big drive-in movie screen, and they had the little previews for each of the movies playing. And when they have stuff like that, it just makes it so much more enjoyable to stand in line, even though it's the same thing over and over. It's just so much, I don't know, you just don't feel like you're just standing there in silence. You know what I mean?
I agree. The projector things, we've always talked about that. That needs to be something since day one. They need to have that out there. I don't know why that's a thing. That might be something contracted, why it's always in October when it pops up. But those areas have to be filled. You have to fill those up with some interactive element. That's just, boom. I'm also, hold up, I'm going to put a poll up for the chat. It's going to be something very random.
Even in 28, they didn't have like individual, like, I feel like lately they've been doing those projector things and it's like ads for like Peacock and like TV shows on like Peacock and stuff, which I understand because it's like a universal thing. But I remember in 28, they had like the little video of like about like Jack and Chance and the little like Jack in the Box. I can't remember exactly what it was about, but they had like a little like short film essentially that they just played over and over, and that was a little bit more enjoyable. I remember like last year they had like ads for like that They Them show, and it's just like we don't want to watch ads. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean,
like make something that's like enjoyable to watch, even if it's literally just like B-roll of like other HHN.
B-roll of the event, maybe a Brian from Orlando video in there, like a live stream, like us talking right here. Like maybe, maybe we do a live stream on a Saturday night while everyone's in the park, and that is like featured on all the projectors. Like, and it's like us right here saying, "What's up, everyone? I hope you guys are getting ready to go in the house you're going at, Wicked Growth, Hill House,
Universal.
Classic Monsters."
If you're listening to this and you like that idea.
Hey, and if I can't say this. I don't want people to take these ideas.
See, Bradley said a podcast.
I put a poll up.
I've been trying to tell Brian we should do a podcast.
I don't know. Can you see? You got your thing so zoomed in.
I have it zoomed in because I can't see.
Oh, yeah. I put in there asking
yes
if people want a podcast.
Yes is 88%.
Right,
I didn't realize that's what the poll was. Yeah, I've been telling him we need to do a podcast. All I do all day long is listen to podcasts, and I'm like, we have so much to talk about. We'll talk about
it. If we do a podcast, maybe not this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
We'll see. We have so much going on as it is now, and I have something bigger that I want to focus on. But I just want to see what you guys thought. Should we do a podcast? Yes or no? It's basically going to be like the live streams where we just kind of talk like this, and then we get clips of it and post it. But I prefer video versus audio.
Do
it. So, maybe, hey, I have a grand plan, like my overall plan of all these projects. That I have a master grand plan that I hope gets done one day. Universal, HHN, please call me.
Yeah,
hit my phone up.
Elizabeth said Run House and the Meets House had like backstory videos playing.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is so cool. Like they need to do
Graveyard
that.
Games. I mean, Legends Collide kind of had that sense as well. But yeah, they need to get you ready into the house and stuff. But they need to have that since day one. So, but yeah. Anyways, that has to deal with like the houses. I know we kind of strayed a little bit from the tent, but what I personally think is that tent, it might be used for HHN, but not in a perspective of a house. And if so, I think if it is used for a house, I think it might be more to that tent that we don't see until later in the run. What about you?
Say that again. Sorry, I was reading the comments. I don't want to get behind in them.
What do you think the tent will be used for, Steph?
I'm not getting my hopes up. I don't think it's going to be an 11th house. If anything, it's like the 10th house because they're not using.
Do you think it's going to be a house this year or no?
No.
So you think it'll be used for just other purposes?
Yeah.
Do you think it will have some HHN intended purposes?
I don't know. Maybe. It might just be like storage.
Yeah, possibly. We don't know. A lot of people, I will say this too. Yes, I have some inside sources, and yes, there are things that Steph and I know that some others don't know, and things that we're not allowed to say. I mean, there are things that I know that I don't even tell Stephanie, to be honest, when it comes to the HHN stuff, just because I don't want to ruin the surprises for her.
That's fine with me.
But I try to tell people we're more of a fan perspective than anything, than an inside source. Like we've tried to view things as much as we can from a fan's perspective and just kind of be the hype man for HHN versus kind of like, the inside know-it-all source and all.
I just heard this thing.
Yeah, because that, the line gets iffy and all that stuff. And we just kind of say like, hey, we're just fans of the event. We just see things. We just say it from what we think kind of deal. So We don't really know what the tent's going to be used for and stuff, but we do hope it has some kind of HHN purpose intended in the future.
Yeah.
So, but that right there, that is the I know people talking about the last podcast.
You lying and hiding things from me.
What? Hey, hold on. Let me back myself up here, right? Remember, like a year or two ago, I said I put things in videos as clues and hints for things, and they all tie in together. I hope you guys are paying attention, because these aren't just coincidences, by the way. So,
and apparently he has to keep those from me.
And I do. Like I said, I don't want to ruin the surprise. So,
I know you have like kind of a like itinerary of what you want to go over, but people were talking about Evil Dead, so we put that on there.
Let's go ahead and talk about it then. What do you want to talk about, Evil
also,
Dead?
People were asking what, like, if they just joined in, what they missed. We were just talking about the construction. The Men in Black tent that popped up, but that's it, really.
Javier, hey, name the podcast. Lying in the Fog. Lying in the Fog. I mean, pretty much, right?
That's Brian.
That's me. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to houses, is Last of Us going to happen this year? I really, I don't know. Evil Dead, is that going to happen? I don't know.
No.
Right now, honestly, I feel like so many things have like kind of shook up and moved around. I'm just kind of like...
Someone did ask when we think the next spec map will come out. Do we know?
I don't personally know. I have a feeling probably, and like I said, this is coming from no knowledge. This is just pure guess. I think the end of this month. I have a feeling we're going to get an actual announcement this month at some time. I hope they don't hold it until May, but Tron just opened up. So my eyes are this week, and if not, maybe until Mardi Gras is finished up. That's kind of what I'm expecting. But I really hope we get something official from this month, and I think if we do get an official house announcement, I think HHN Nightmares will have something prepared for us coming in the next month or two. That is my thoughts about a spec map.
I really hope that they bring Evil Dead. I honestly don't really, like, if they don't do Last of Us, that's fine with me. Like, I think it'd be cool because it's a big property, it's HBO, all of that. But like I won't be like torn apart if they don't do it. However, if they don't do Evil Dead, I will be very sad. I have heard really great reviews about the movie. I am so excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited to see it. It's gonna be terrifying.
Yeah.
Brian's nervous.
We've been going to the movies like every week. Finally the theaters have some good movies coming out every single week. And we're waiting for those tickets for Evil Dead Rises to come out. We will be going. I'm trying to prepare myself. Also, do you guys know the Evil Dead from 2013? Is that something you must watch leading into this?
Just say yes. I want him to watch it.
No, okay, never mind. I don't have to see it now. All right, well that did it.
I don't think it is. I don't think it's like actual follow up to where like you need to watch the first one to understand this current one. But I think he should watch it to know what he's getting himself into, right? That's how I feel.
I don't know. We try not to, like I said, I get the inside sources of certain things, but I try not to dive into it as much just because I still want to be surprised as a guest and as a fan of the event. That's how we like things. We don't care too much of the speculations too much. We don't want to dive into them just because we personally want to like enjoy like the announcement, like how like the old days when we didn't do this where they were like so-and-so coming to HHN. We're like, whoa, cool.
Yeah.
So like obviously, being where we're at right now with the channel and stuff, we do get some information where it is still exciting, but it's like I sometimes love being surprised. So sometimes I get information, I just kind of like I just take it out of my head. I'm like, all right, that never happens, kind of deal. Yeah. Just because Steph and I, we just enjoy the moment, kind of deal.
Justin did say that it might be loosely tied in to the 2013.
Okay. So maybe like some like Easter eggs or nods possibly, but it's not anything that's kind of...
He has seen the OG. But not
Which
2013.
I also want to see the second and third one too. That is on my list, and we'll be getting to that soon. Also, I really want to watch Stranger Things all over again. I want to see, you know, season 1, 2, 3, and 4 all throughout leading up to the event. And I really would love to see a Stranger Things house. I think this would be a perfect thing for Stranger Things season 4 as a standalone house this year, because we had it last year for season 4. This could be a house this year. Next year comes out season 5 or something like that, or the year after or whatever, and then they followed next year with another season. I also think, hey, Netflix, like, and HHN, I hope they can come to an agreement, get us Fear Street, get the talks of Fear Street back in the way. Yeah, but I feel like, you got movies that appear at the event. It's been years. People love them. So I feel like Fear Street could make a good comeback if, Netflix and HHN wants to do something with that. There's still so many good IP properties that could be used. That I feel like conversation's kind of been out there and all that stuff, but we, when that spec map comes out, we really focus on those properties that have been thrown out. So
Chris said that he was at the 2013 Evil Dead World premiere. That's awesome. I had to wait until that movie came out. I wanted to see it so bad. I had to wait until it came out on DVD because I wasn't old enough to see it in theaters. My parents wouldn't take me. But
no.
But then I watched it with friends, and they all had their like did not watch it at all had their eyes closed, and I was like, this is awesome.
I'm good.
I want him to watch it so bad.
Maybe one day. The problem is, it's like when there's a scary movie and it's coming out in theaters, I'm cool with going to a theater and watching it and experiencing in the theater, but being home just with someone very crazy, it doesn't help my atmosphere. It makes me more on edge, because then the whole scenery is me at my house. Where at the theater,
with all the lights on.
That still does not help. Remember freaking Haunting of Hill House?
Yeah, that didn't help.
We had that one scene with my mom was watching with us, and then the whole thing. Yeah, so that's why I don't trust the house environment. I have to be at a theater. Right. But maybe we'll take a look into it. We'll see, depending how this movie goes. But hey. Fear Street, let's get Fear Street back in the talk, but that's only if Netflix and HHN come to agreements on things. I know things behind closed doors. It's much more complicated than saying, look, everybody wants it, so we got to have it. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. There's money involved, there's politics and things like that. But I'm just hoping that at some point, Netflix and HHN can get a relationship back, and they can agree on some things and say, hey, all right, let's work things out, whatever, blah, 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 and get it going. And then we can finally get Stranger Things into the mix. We can get Fear Street into the mix. And then I'm pretty sure there's other properties that we haven't talked about on Netflix that we could get.
Yeah, there hasn't really been too much lately.
Even if there hasn't been too much, if you think about it, you got Stranger Things, you have 2 seasons, right? Season 4 and season 5. They can definitely do 2 years worth, right? And then you got Fear Street, which could be another 3rd year. And you don't have to do that back to back to back. They can space it out, saying, hey, HHN and Netflix, we're going to have a 10-year contract leading up until, 37 or something like that, or, 5 to 10-year contract, and say, this year we're doing this, we're going to take a hiatus for a year, and then we're going to have this house, take another hiatus for another year, then we're going to have this house, and by then we have something in production that could lead to another year, and yeah, you get it. So
I wish. Oh gosh, why can't I think of the name of the streaming service now? The horror one.
Shudder?
Yeah. I wish Shudder was more a little bit more mainstream, to where they could do something with Universal, and have movies and stuff that people really enjoy and are popular, because a lot of their stuff is actually really good, but it's just not mainstream. People don't really talk about it much.
Yeah. They did Crypt TV once, right? And I feel like that's even less than what Shudder was, technically, or what Shudder is. So they could do something with Shudder and feature, properties from Shudder or something. Because Shudder does original content too, correct?
Yeah, that's what I mean, is their original stuff is good.
So maybe they could do something like Crypt TV, but something from Shudder, and maybe make it into Scare Zone, or do a house with Shudder, and then, have it featuring with Shudder. They're doing stuff with sci-fi. They've done things with sci-fi before. You can have something with Shudder. You've done Crypt TV. Of course, you got Netflix. If we can get HBO involved, and that just opens up this whole library of things that they can do. So But we got some super chats we want to bring up, and there is also one comment that somebody said that I want us to dive into more importantly.
Great British Baking Show. Love it. Crappy Tappy said Great British Baking Show.
Honestly, I don't even think it's possible to make a horror anything out of the Great British Baking Show. It's just everything's nice. It's like, well, this was terrible.
It's literally so wholesome. Like, that's what I put on to like just feel at ease.
That's your feel good
comfort show
kind of thing. Jim Daniels, it's not a live stream without this man right here saying, with a $50 donation, jeez, Steph will protect you. I mean, honestly, yeah, I would trust Steph with my life. I mean, I do. But like, if there's some like demonic force and stuff, I'm pretty sure like that demonic force would be scared of Steph. Yes. That should answer right there. Right? If not, at least Hondo. Jim Daniels, appreciate it. And then look at that, back-to-back, coming back in here with another 20. If not, I know a good exorcist.
See, you don't need to be scared. We can just call him. He'll come exercise our apartment.
Come exercise with us, right? we gotta get Jim to do a whole investigation series. Maybe, we do a whole show, like a little, short series that we do, a little short film with Jim Daniels and the investigation and all that stuff. Oh my god.
Who wants to see Brian?
Not real though, not real.
Oh no, I meant real. Who wants to see us go to like a paranormal investigation and see Brian's reaction? No.
Moving on. We're not even getting into that. I just grab the biggest cross I can and run through that building. And nothing's happening. That's just me just thinking that something could happen. That won't be good. Jim Daniels, thank you so much, my man. Jim's honestly been a huge supporter. Fun fact, Jim, I hope you got your ears on and listening to this. Put the hearing aid up. Get ready. I went back today and I was looking at some old live streams that we've done just to see how we progress. And Jim Daniels has been there since the beginning. A huge thank you to my man for the big support of me and of Stephanie and Hondo and of our channel and stuff. He's always been there along the way, keeping the faith in us and all that stuff, and definitely has made a big difference for us to be able to do this. So a huge thank you, Jim. And also a huge thank you. Give me a second. Hold up, guys. I know it's my ADHD. I get off topic, but I do want to say a thank you to all of our members. I did this in the last stream, but it's because it's important to me, and I want you guys to know that. But let me get it. Hold up. This is not planned. This is live. This is why nothing is planned here. But I do want to say this. Jim Daniels right here. We have everybody with the Purple Pumpkins. We got the Purple Pumpkin crew. Jim Daniels has been almost over 8 months a member of our channel. When we actually first started doing channel memberships here, we got Calvin, we got Sean, Valerie, Chris, the Smiths, USMC, Lily, Artemis, Tom and Nikki, Michelle, Fun Guy Gamer, Mia, Crappy Tappy, Erica Williams, Kevin Diosi, Marcus Green, Mark Kamara, Jeff, Mary. Those are our pumpkin villains, or our purple pumpkin villains that we got. The pumpkin villains. And then we got Jonathan, we got Elizabeth, we got Brandon. Those are our red ones. And then Heather as our green one. And, it truly means the world when you guys are, showing us that support. So a huge thank you to Jim for supporting us along the way. Just want to give you that appreciation, my man. And we're very curious of your life and how you do these like paranormal investigations. It's kind of cool. So big thank you to Jim. I don't want to get too far behind it. There's still a comment I get back to, but USMC, another man who's been there, and Lily, who's been one of our biggest fans and somebody we've learned to love throughout the months and actually got to hang out with last year. I mean, hey, like one of the best, right? You're a weenie when a 6-year-old enjoys going to the theater to see scary movies more than you. Lily's built different.
He actually likes going to the theater to see scary movies. It's just watching them at home he doesn't like.
I think it's because I learned that Lily can do the stuff.
He's like, I can do it.
I still freak out sometimes.
Tell him that Lily can watch scary movies at home.
But here's the thing. It's not fair putting me up against Lily. Lily's a different breed of human. Like,
that is true.
She's built different, like you said. So, but thank you so much for the $5 donation. Truly appreciate it. And Lily, I hope you're listening. We miss you. We love you. But I wanted to bring this comment up from the Misfit Owl. More than anything else, I want an icon, old or new. Please give us an icon, universal. I agree with this under one condition. I have this idea that HHN's having this 5-year kind of phase, right? They do something 5 years and this is how it goes, and they have another 5 years and it kind of repeats. That's kind of this theory that I have. I am begging. I have two things, right? One, I would love to see an icon, a new icon, but I want it to be a couples icon or some relationship icon, whether it's like twins or a married couple in a sense, like have, two people icon kind of thing, right? But where, you get these two who are obviously, they're icons of the year, they're, together and stuff, husband, wife, whatever, whatever it may be. But then they take over the event. And not only the event, but if we could get Islands of Fear back, and then you got one over Universal and one over Islands, and then they're kind of like, the icons, you got the twins maybe, or, you got the bride and the groom, or, something like that. I would love to see that. But I would even more love to see HHN actually bring together a icon for the event, whether it's an old one or a new one, that takes a couple of years. And I call it the Marvel phase, where, Thanos, like your end credits scene, right? So you go to HHN 32, we're like, oh, that was great. But at the end of the event, HHN posts a video that's like, whoa, what was, not like the Chucky thing, not the announcement, but it's like, they have this little glitch thing like they did with their announcements, like, oh, the legend's real, or whatever, stuff like that. And it's pertaining to somebody either returning or somebody coming to the event that's debuting or something like that. And we hear nothing about it again. And then you have HHN 33 come along and it's something. And then at the end, there's another thing, another end credit scene. So it's building up. But then at HHN 33, you notice, oh, there's these little clues, little notes to something we don't know, right? We know nothing about. HHN 34 comes along. Okay, now there's really obvious signs of something. We don't know what it is. Then you get, another big end credit scene. And then for the anniversary year of HHN 35, they reveal the icon and this whole story that took these years to build up to. I would love for HHN to dive into something, a project that big, and do something like that versus having standalone years. Because when you do standalone years, there's nothing bad with it, but you use your idea for that year and it's done. I would love for them to see this big master plan that they have, and they kind of just build up on it, build your hype. What could it be? What could it be? More content for us to really dive into. Sorry that I talk a lot, guys. I just like HHN. I love you guys too.
Everybody was saying Jack and Chance is a couple. So is Caretaker and Cindy.
Yeah, I don't think Jack and Chance is a... I mean, I guess it's like a sidekick thing, I guess, yeah. And Caretaker and Cindy technically, but I'm talking something
really
new.
Use Cindy.
I want somebody new that's like, they're like honestly like The Shining, like the twins, like they're inseparable. They're like right there, you know what I'm saying? And that's how they're portrayed at the event. Where Jack and Chance had their own like standalone things. Yeah, same with the Caretaker. Obviously, Cindy didn't get her mark on it, but that's what I would like to see.
Yeah.
Like maybe even like brother sleep and brother death kind of deal, in a sense. Like you get that, So, but anyways, that's what I had to say. Misfit Owl, thanks for the comment.
I really wanted, after 30, I really wanted Fear to be an icon. I liked Fear. Mm-hmm. He was my favorite in like the Icon's house.
I mean, he's still like our favorite icon of the event.
He's awesome. I would love to have him be like an icon.
Like, I mean, Fear is awesome. But they need to update him a little bit more, I think.
He wasn't ever like his own icon for a year, right? He's just like
20. Yeah, HHN 20. Yeah.
Oh.
Fear was let out of the lantern, and then you had them as the totem. Yeah, the
that
whole
was
thing.
Before my time.
Before the time. Before the Dark Ages. Yeah, so just a couple things there. Also, I noticed that Let's Talk HHN said, careful, Brian, Universal and Marvel are listening now, which I actually have another blueprint drawn up of a Universal Marvel type of idea where you got the OG classic monsters against, and this was actually a house idea that somebody brought up. I'm saying this backwards. Somebody brought up the idea of an OG monsters versus the icons of HHN as a house.
I still think that's such a cool idea.
But I was thinking, this was back at HHN 30. I had this thought where it'd be really cool if they did this storyline where the icons had a Marvel phase, in a sense where basically Jack, if you follow HHN lore, doesn't like Fear and doesn't like that Fear is the top one of HHN. And he wants that spotlight, so he gains his following. He gains a couple of the icons like Caretaker and Director, and then Fear. And then Fear has his, you know, like minions and stuff like Pumpkin Lord and like some other like icons. And then you have this big face off of the, you know, these icons like split like Civil War, right? Captain America Civil War type of deal. And, you know, you get icons versus icons, you know, like we've been getting the classic monsters facing each other.
Yeah.
But you get it on a scale of, you know, big park-wide theme. So Islands of Fear will be Fear's park, and all things will be based on Fear and his icons and minions and stuff. And then you get Universal Studios, which is Jack's land. You know, it's the, you know, Carnival Carnage and stuff, and it's his minions and stuff, and they're kind of like going head to head. And you get a year like that.
That's what we wanted for 31. And then they said OG, like, or not OG, but like classic Halloween theme. We were like, that's pretty cool.
Cool. And then we got to the
And
event.
then
We're like, it's cool, but
maybe not the best idea.
Yeah. Batman versus Dracula, Legion of Doom.
Batman
I like that.
versus Dracula.
Or maybe Batman is Dracula, vice versa. They both got capes.
Oh yeah.
And they both like bats.
I was excited to see Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
I think it's so. Yeah, you know, Nicolas Cage, right? Dracula, like that stuff, right? I think it's gonna be a good movie, Renfield. I think it's.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be so corny and all that stuff. It's gonna be that
Over
comedy
the
horror,
top.
over the top. That
We
it's
saw
gonna be good.
when we went to see John Wick, they had the, I don't know if it's like the Red Band trailer, like
It was the last
the
one they
more like
released. Yeah.
rated R trailer, and even more so, it just looks like ridiculous and over the top, and that made me really excited. I love like just ridiculous horror.
Yeah. Jim Daniels back again. How's it going, my man? $20 donation here saying, how about you two doing a in real life stream investigating Waverly Hills with me? If it's
I'd
like
be down.
Wizards of Waverly Place type of deal, yeah, I'm cool with that. But I have no idea what Waverly Hills is. What is that? You looking it up? What is this? Is this like scary stuff?
Probably. I would assume so. Ooh.
What?
Looks like a sanatorium.
No. The hell? What the hell is that?
It's in Kentucky.
Hold up, let me pull this up. I want you guys to see this.
It does look creepy.
What is it called? Waverly.
Hills. Also, Vanessa said I feel like Jack and Chance will be at that like HHN Vegas thing. I agree. They definitely teased that it would be kind of like Jack is gonna be there, or at least be like a big part of it. Do we think the next house announcement will be an IP or an original? I think the first house announcement is gonna be just like the first, I guess the next one, because we already have Chucky, is gonna be just like last year, and I think it's gonna be whatever monsters house we get. If that's Phantom and Dracula, I think that will be the first one because it's kind of an IP, but Universal like owns it to where they don't have to wait for contracts and things like that. So it gets people hyped up because it's not an original, like, oh, here's something that you don't even know what it is. Gets people excited, but it's not an IP that could back out at the last minute.
Yeah. Also, this is a picture of Waverly Hills. Can you guys imagine me walking through that at night?
No, Brian would literally just be like, no,
No.
I'm not going in there.
There's no amount of money, there's no amount of food, and there's no amount of HHN that could get me to go through this.
I honestly, for
Big
my
no.
own sake, I don't think I would want to do that because I would never hear the end of it. We would come back home and he'd be like, what is that? What is that?
No, that's not happening. Good luck. Thank you, Jim, but good luck. Best of luck to you. Also, Brandon does theme parks, saying Fear and Universal Monsters versus Jack and Icons. See, that'd be really cool, but would like Fear be with the monsters? I don't know. I feel like the monsters are kind of their own thing, even like they're their own legion.
Yeah. I think that if you're doing it based on like the
lore of HHN.
Yeah, but if you're doing it based on the parks, so like Fear, like Islands of Fear is more like that vibe, like kind of like that, like islands, kind of. But then
Like Fiji.
Then I would think that Universal Studios would be more like monsters because they're like, you know, the silver screen and like black and white.
I mean, I
all
guess.
that, like Hollywood.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, who would honestly like? What do you guys think? I know we're a little bit behind you guys, but what do you, also Brandon does theme parks? Thank you so much for the 5, my man. But what do you guys think? Like, if Fear and Jack had to recruit their own icons in a sense, right? And this could be a whole live stream that we could do this for. If Fear and Jack had to recruit their own people, who would be on whose team? Like, I could see Jack having like Bloody Mary being involved if there's no contract issues with that, right? Jack would have that. Obviously, Chance would be involved. Eddie, Jack, Chance, Eddie. Maybe like, he could bring in like director, caretaker, maybe, storyteller, like those group. And then who would Fear have? I feel like Fear could even have like maybe the Terror Queen, maybe the Pumpkin Lord, maybe Bones, and maybe Brother Sleep, Brother Death, like have a couple like those characters, like we can find like the sub ones or whatever. And they kind of just have, this head-to-head conflict and stuff in the world of HHN for true like power over evil. But you can't beat Fear, and that technically could be the end of Jack if they're trying to close a chapter with him in a sense. Because when where does Jack come in the event? Obviously, people love Jack. I don't think we've seen the last of him at the event, but I'm interested to see where the lore and the stories of HHN lead from there. So that's what I wonder. Yeah. Also, USMC saying, Poll, will Lily do a paranormal investigation before Brian? Jim, we'll look you up when we're down there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Lily would. Hey, shout out to you guys. To me, that freaks me out, man. Lily, like I said, Lily's just built different. That's a different type of breed we're talking right there. But who do you guys got? Oh, look, I mean, Javier even said HR Blood and Guts. Yeah, HR Blood and Guts, like that's another type of like sub character that we know as like an icon or whatever. Power over evil. Like who? Yeah. Like Blue Hawk. Hey, hot take. I'm tired of Jack. I know some people are.
Ooh, I'd love to see a sci-fi themed icon. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Like invasion type of vibe or whatever, or even like how do you say, is it like Siflu, right?
I don't know. That's how I say it, but I know that's wrong.
I say
Chulu.
No, yeah, but like something like colossal. Yeah, like my question
I was
is,
thinking more like Hellraiser type of. I mean, that's not really sci-fi, but like.
I get what you're saying.
Like fantasy, but
like Hellraisers, and I can get Ghostface involved. You just get all these horror people going against each other.
Too much.
The thing is, like when you look at like HHN lore, like Fear is, he's the big dog, right? Yeah, Cthulhu. Yeah, that's how you say it. Yeah. But Fear's like the big dog, right? He's the oversight of all things that happen in HHN. But my belief is, who's above Fear, right? Or my question is, who's above Fear? Is there somebody even more that's above Fear and stuff? Because the ship has to have a captain, and the captain itself has to have a captain in a sense as a boss, right? Like Davy Jones even was owed something. He wasn't over everything. So is there something even more, something more colossal that we haven't explored in HHN, that HHN could go in that route? Satan. I don't know if we want to get in the holy wars and stuff, because if so, Jesus is king and all. But
Javier said who's
we don't want to get in there.
HHN. That's what I.
Who's the god of HHN, right? Lil Boo.
Are you a god?
Are you a god? I'm a keymaster. But yeah, I mean, like that'd be an interesting like thing to kind of to go through. And for the people saying they're tired of Jack, like there was a point where Steph and I were also like, we're tired of Jack. But recently I'm like, I would like to see something explored into like, Jack's, area again. Maybe not him as like, the overall in a sense, but he is like the face of HHN, right? Like you see a picture of Jack, you think of HHN, you think of HHN, you think of Jack. So I feel like they have to keep him around somehow. But
I just feel like the clown shtick is like kind of tired. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I get that. But I feel like they still need to involve him somehow, but maybe not make him like the main icon, or just he's something less because there's something even more to come involved. So I don't know.
Yeah. Do we still think the Monsters House is going to be Dracula versus Phantom? I think it's going to be Dracula and Phantom, but I don't think they're going to be fighting each other.
I don't know. I don't know if Dracula's going to be in it.
Or maybe just Phantom.
I just want Phantom at least.
I think it'd
I
be
just want
pretty,
to. I would
no
love a
matter what.
standalone Phantom house.
That would be cool.
I just think the aesthetic would be
I
great.
do think it would be. I would love to get like standalone monsters houses because they could just like explore that monster and their like history and like the movies
The aesthetic,
and everything.
the domain.
Like, yeah, just more in depth by itself without like necessarily creating a new story. I like the idea of like new stories and stuff, especially with such old characters that it's like how much can you tell that same story? But I would like to see Phantoms like just Phantom.
Yeah. And we've had some people talking about like case files type of scenarios where we can dive into each icon's lore. I really think we need to have a fear house. Maybe like have something even like a house that's belonging to Terra Cruentus, you know, like the land of Terra Cruentus, where it's not a scare zone, but it's an actual house. Maybe have the Terror Queen involved because they really did her dirty back in HHN 30.
Yeah.
You know, kind of redeem her and give her a house or something like that bigger. Maybe have fear featured through that house, and you know, like something sinister is brewing. And that leads to, you know, my point that I made earlier, where I would love if HHN, you know, started tackling this bigger project of having, you know, some icon, whether it's an old one returning or it's a brand new one, where we start seeing subtle hints in those end credit type of scenes, and maybe even in houses, you know, like maybe we go through a house this year, right? Let's just say this year at HHN 32, we get to go through one of these original houses that they have planned, and there's a scene in there that is actually setting up for a future house, for a future story, that you see that and you're like, wait a minute, like that's something, you know, like that's cool and all, but what does that mean, right? Is there more to that? And I feel like if HHN were to do that, a lot of fans, hardcore fans of HHN, would appreciate such thing. And then you get all the people with the speculations and the rumors saying, you know, hey, this is something more than just a house, and they're foreshadowing something to come. I would very much love to see that. That is something, honestly, that from Case Files I loved. In Case Files, we had that where in the very first scene, you came across the guy who was going through, you know, the books and stuff from Boris Schuster. And at the very end of the house, you saw, obviously, he summoned something, right? Yeah, I'm not trying to say anything else besides that. But that one scene right there, it feels like when you left that room, that was the end of the house. You know, you came around the corner, you saw the legendary truth sign. It's like, okay, like obviously that was present day. Something happened. What's next to happen after that? Did he release those monsters? What are we going to get from that? Or is that just it? Like, oh, okay, that's the monsters came out, you died, end of story. I feel like that's one of those houses that kind of, it's like, hey, there's more to come. That's the end of that story. Wait till the next one comes up. We need to have houses like that again, but to feature something big.
I agree. I think this is a really good question that I don't think we've ever touched on. But Fred asks, how do we think HHN can innovate beyond the houses and scare zones?
So this is something that recently I've been thinking of. I think I've mentioned it to Steph one day, and it actually came upon me last week when we came across the Men in Black tent appearing. Was, you know, what other offerings can HHN do besides your typical houses and scare zones? Now, I don't want to put all my ideas out there to the world, but I feel like there are some things that a lot of fans want, and it's very hard to do at HHN, and that's something of an interactive element. I'm not going to say too much about it and some of the stuff that we've discussed about it that we think could be really cool ideas. Those are things we want to hold for right now, but I think there's something of an interactive element, experience, some type of thing that is more personal, if you will. Something that might be a limited time hard ticket that, you know, obviously very pricey, but if you're first come, first serve, if you can get that ticket and stuff, you have an experience that you get to go through that nobody else at the event will get to unless they have such ticket. So I feel like there's something of that level, and obviously, you know, hardcore fans will be willing to pay in. HHN's going to benefit off of a little more capital, you know, investment with it. I feel like we're looking at something like that. I even think, you know, expansions obviously is always the way to go, but maybe even something as a show, maybe something that is done not even at the event, but something before or after, and it's outside of the event. And I feel like the Vegas location is one of those that's going to be kind of like diving into something like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like HHN has a couple things they're thinking about. There are projects that are kind of being discussed around the table, I think, for something like that.
Yeah, I think people are saying like escape rooms, which we did the Jurassic World escape room in City Walk, and they did something like Horror Nights related. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It is very like, it's not something temporary. Like everything in there is very like permanent.
Kind of I mean, they could probably change it around, but to do something for HHN, like that'd be tough.
And it'd be expensive. Like when we did it, it was like, it's like $40 a person. So
yeah, I mean,
and I feel like with HHN it'd be the same thing. Like it'd have to be an extra cost because it would be expensive for them to put that together.
Yeah, it's like I'm not against escape rooms. I just feel like the escape room thing is just like not it. Like, you know, they have it obviously in City Walk and that's cool and all, but to feature at HHN, it could be really cool. Like they would just have to put the money into something like that. And obviously when you do an escape room, you know, it's one of those limited interactive type of elements that you know, small amount of people can only go through. Not everybody can go through such thing. They have to time it out, have time slots. So there's all these types of, you know, logistic problems you could come across when doing such a thing that I could see be too much for HHN to tackle on. I feel like escape rooms isn't it though.
And I don't think people would want to like take, you know, an hour out of their HHN experience to go out into City Walk and do an escape room. And especially pay more money to do it. Maybe on a night that they're not going to HHN, but if people are coming like just for a weekend to just do HHN, people aren't going to be taking like an hour and a half out of their, you know, out of their night to go do an escape room.
So in my opinion, right, if you're a large company like Universal and you have an event like HHN, right, it's something very special. Like Universal's the only company in the world to really have something like this. You know, there's a couple of companies, obviously, you know, other business, you know, you got Six Flags, you got Not Scary Farm. They also do their Halloween events. You know, Disney has their, you know, Mickey's Not So Scary. Like other places do these things. HHN's on a golden ticket. And, you know, other places are building their, you know, their reputations for certain things that they do, which is great. More Halloween, better for everybody kind of deal. But I feel like with escape rooms have been around for a long time now, right? It's getting to the point that you've done it once. That's it. You don't really need to do it again kind of deal. And when it comes to doing an interactive element or something to involve HHN that brings them one step, they have to take one step ahead of everybody constantly. They have to be that one step ahead. So I feel like by doing something escape room-ish, while kind of being like everybody else, doesn't really progress them. I feel like they need to do something with the event that has never been done before, that is very innovative, that is going to make the whole world kind of be like, you know, tuned in, watching, seeing how it goes. And they need to make sure they pour everything they got into it. So I feel like if they were to go the route of the escape rooms, I'm not going to say it's bad. I just feel like, you know, it's been done. I feel like HHN and Universal, as being a creative body as they are, they need to find, okay, what can we do to one-up something like this, something very innovative to get people to constantly come back and say, man, that can only be found at HHN. It's been born at HHN. And if anybody else does it, you got to give credit to HHN for doing it. That's what I feel like this company, Universal, needs to do constantly. And I feel like they are capable of doing such. But what?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we're not allowed to say.
Also, just going back into the comments for a second, this is like off topic of HHN, but Jim Daniels did McKamey Manor. That's crazy.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds scary.
It's like basically like consented torture. It's like a haunted house, but it's one of those extreme haunted houses.
I feel like, hey, Jim Daniels, if you're still here, I feel like you and Steph and I need to have like a conference call one day and talk about all the stuff that you've done, because I feel like my man's like living like the mysterious life. It's really cool.
That's crazy. I have watched the like videos of like clips of like people going through that, and I honestly could never. That's something that like I feel like that's not even fun. I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be fun, but like haunted houses, I have fun in them. Like you get scared and then you laugh. and like I feel like that's.
I think it's fun because of the safety. In
that
it.
is not how it is at that type of haunt. So I'm like, I'm good.
Also, my man Jonathan Avila popping in with the $4.99 said, "Give me a year that's Usher versus director. Have the IPs be the ushers, and then the original be the directors, and they can battle it out for an original." I actually really like that idea. I would very much love seeing instead of Usher versus director, I would love to see Usher and director, and they have their own theater, and the usher is bringing you in. He's the one that's luring you in to show like the director's film that he put together. But plot twist, you're being filmed in what they've captured you in a sense. But I do like this idea of having Usher showcasing the IPs, and he's the holder of that, and then the director being obviously he's a director, he's doing the originals and stuff. That could be a really cool year too. And that's just everything on the silver screen type of deal, which we're in the movie business, so we love that. Great idea, Jonathan Avila. I'm going to go ahead and steal it. Thank you so much. Also, I saw this too right here. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Somebody did mention this in the chat. Oh my gosh. I hope I didn't lose it. Right here. Joy said, laser tagging and go-karting in HHN would be fun. Although impossible right now, I will say if they could bring back like HHN 29 and have like the synth nights and stuff, and you can somehow build a go-kart track, where it's all like synth and horror and then laser tag and stuff like that, I'm all for something like that. I feel like that's just like the fun zone. It's like the synth carnival. I don't know, something. I kind of like that, but I don't know if it's possible.
I do like the idea of like more ride overlays. Like how Disney does with Space Mountain talking about Disney. But how they do during their like Halloween events, they like turn the lights off and they do like different music.
They just turn the lights off.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Ooh, guys, look at this overlay we did. We're saving money.
Well, they do the overlay for...
Well, Disneyland is a different story.
Yeah. But that would be cool. I know they did the Chucky song? Something like that on Rip Ride Rocket last year. And then there was something else. Wasn't there? Maybe not. But yeah, that'd be cool if they did that in like the Mummy is already kind of Halloween themed, but like Transformers, maybe Men in Black.
See, I would honestly love if they did, and they did this at SeaWorld and stuff in Busch Gardens, where they have an interactive bar. Like at one of the bars, they create one of the triggers to be featured in the house where you can actually physically scare a guest on a trigger, like have like a little like wind cannon kind of like hit them or something like that. Like they do have that though. They already have that, and that's in the Mummy. In the Mummy queue line, they actually have that where you hit one of the little like blue like lights and stuff, and then sure enough, you can see the camera of you scaring somebody. So they've done that. They do that. So it'd be cool to see them bring that to HHN. Obviously, for an upcharge and stuff, that's another way for them to make money without necessarily having to find way to raise ticket prices to make that money in return. They could just do these little interactive elements that cost $5 here and there that, doesn't really cost them too much. And they're like, hey, we just made this much off of capital expenditures and returns.
We do have we have the Pew 2 and Edutainment in the chat.
We got some big names here. What's up, everyone? Welcome in. You guys are coming in here to the end. Welcome to the world's greatest live stream that stutters all the time. If it's stuttering for you, we apologize. This thing has been going on forever. We don't know how to get the stutter to stop. We've embraced the stutter.
It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. But 100% Scareactor should be in the ride vehicles. That'd be kind of cool.
In like the actual ride vehicle.
Yeah.
That'd be neat.
Sign me up for that job.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine actually getting on like the Mummy and like you got a couple like scare actors in there with you and you guys are just all riding? Like imagine that photo that you get on the Mummy. We would buy that.
Dracula sitting next to
you got Dracula next to you. You got Emotep. You got Michael Myers behind you, and you're all like doing these poses and stuff. I'd pay $50 for that photo
Better than
at the end of the ride.
Dining.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Scareactor Dining was a waste. Brandon does theme parks pop back in with the 2 saying HHN People Mover that takes you through the houses, also known as the Terror Tram in Hollywood. Imagine if HHN Orlando could somehow work that out. It's impossible.
They just
for the
take
sizing,
you on like the beeline, like the backstage.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
Actually, they'll just take you on I-4. We'll just take you on a 10-minute detour down I-4 with just like in one of their little trams, you know, like the little Disney trams and stuff.
They could use Volcano Bay for that. It's not being used at the time.
See, now with Volcano Bay, wouldn't you agree we should still do the Scooby-Doo Spooky Island overlay?
For sure.
And like do that like over, you know, select nights throughout, you know, HHN where you can do a tropical theme mix and it's the Spooky Island vibes. We've been saying that for years, though. We have been saying
that for forever.
I feel like it won't happen until we're like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and then they do.
Comes along.
Yeah, at Busch Gardens, they do have the Scareactors on the rides. Like, how do you get that job? You just dress up and ride rides all night. That would be awesome.
Right. I mean, we did that, but it was every 3 seconds.
Yeah, but you didn't get to ride.
You didn't get to do rides or just walk around without being supervised. You just pop in one day with a mask and be like, all right, I'm here for my shift.
That would be great.
So, but anyways, if you guys are just joining us, we did talk about earlier in the stream, we talked about obviously the Men in Black tent popping up, and we talked about a couple other things. We dove into the minds of our brains and discussed some ideas. Really, yeah, it's like an hour of me talking and then stuff, just saying, all right, Brian, that's enough. And then also, you know, one thing we mentioned earlier too, but obviously the Scareactor auditions are live internally right now. That's pretty much all the information we have for that. We don't really know too much. Obviously, they have auditions going up. We've been through that process before, so we know what's going on, but just know that, hey, auditions are going. And in the next few months, actually, I think in 2 months or so, they should be having external auditions getting ready for signups here too. So everything's in full swing, guys.
Yeah.
150 days.
I feel like ever since 2020, like every year we're like, what if this is the year they just don't do it?
They just don't even talk about it. Just the time comes up and we're like, where is it at? September rolls around, nothing. Honestly, if that would ever happen, I'm pretty sure we'd riot.
Oh, yeah.
And protest on the arch, on the very top.
Everybody would be out in front of the arches, like with signs and stuff.
I want to be on top of the arch with like a little boo. Like, I will throw him down if you don't bring this event. And then I'd probably get canceled because of throwing Lobu off the arch.
Would we consider scare acting again? We kind of briefly talked about this last week, but it requires you to be available for every single night of the event. And
we just don't have the time like we used to.
Yeah.
I mean,
even the time, we also wouldn't be able to go enjoy it as guests.
Like, going as a guest and going as a scare actor is two complete different things. Those are two different experiences. Luckily enough, we've got to experience it from both perspectives. And, people ask, like, would you rather scare act or would you rather go as a guest? And it's hard because we miss scare acting. And yes, we could go back and doing it again, but also going as a guest is a whole different experience that we have loved. We've come to love as well. And to be able to do this journey with you guys and to create a channel and talk about it too has made it even more enjoyable as a guest perspective. That it's hard to say, would we go back to scare acting? Because if we did, we wouldn't be able to do it from the guest perspective in a sense, but.
Yeah, I don't think we would. I mean, never say never.
Yeah, never say never. HHN. You got my number.
I did audition for Nightmare Fuel last year.
Yeah, that's true.
That was fun.
Me too. Was I like, I got my hands up. I got my hands on you.
Oh, yeah.
And they called me and said, never ever send that in again.
You're blacklisted.
Just like my lightsaber died. That's what my hopes and dreams came down to. Blacklisted. So, but yeah, we've even also we had a question actually earlier today. Somebody messaged me and said, have we ever discussed like how we got involved in HHN and where our relationship is with HHN and all that stuff. And in past live streams, we have talked about it, briefly, like how I started with HHN, how Steph started with HHN, how we met and all that stuff, and how it kind of came out to be where we're at today. We haven't really dedicated a video or a live stream like solely to that, but we may do something like that. Maybe this year, maybe in August during our countdown series. When we do our countdown to HHN in August, I think we might do a live stream where we just kind of talk about that and do a little backstory stuff. But I don't know. Yeah. We may, I don't know about a video, but we might focus more on a live stream where we just kind of discuss and chat. Something along the lines of that.
Yeah. Fred asked, like, if you're heavily policed as a scare actor, and I think it depends on the role. If you're in a house, no, like you pretty much are left to like do your thing. However, there are some rules that are like right at the end where all the supervisors and the coordinators all stand. So like there, you're being watched the whole time. But mostly in the houses, like they're not really watching you. But in the streets, you're being watched the whole time.
Yeah.
So
I mean, just because the houses are much more organized and coordinated and stuff for guest flow, that's really the thing. It's, they're trying to protect the Scareactors, but it's because, the only issue that there would be was with the guests.
And if you
in the streets, that's just a free-for-all.
Yeah, and if you lightly grazed a guest, would a supervisor eject you? No. The amount of times I've accidentally touched a guest.
The amount of times that I've got punched by guests, the amount of times that I don't know if I should say this, but the amount of times I've fallen on guests from above, it's been wild. And obviously, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm saying it. Whatever. Those moments, although like it does seem scary, it's one of those like get back up and you look at each other in the face, and it's just everyone laughs. Like it's because we all know it's just like obviously we're humans. We're doing this thing called Halloween, and we're all like dressed up.
Yeah. Unless a guest like went to your coordinator and like complained about you and you did something really wrong and it like wasn't an accident, then you're probably gonna get a talking to. But it's not like I do that and then you're like, you're out.
We're out of here.
You're out of here.
Yeah. There's a lot of accidents, but people understand. Majority of the time, the guests are good and the Scareactors are good. But we do every now and then. There's always an issue, but that's all right. It comes and goes. So hopefully nothing too bad. Anyways, I realized we're hour and 26. I really only intended for us to get to an hour, just kind of discuss a couple things. We were going to talk about tent, other things like that. But we kind of went a little past the time that I thought. So we're going to be wrapping up here soon, guys. Just wanted to do a quick little chat. An hour and a half later, here we are. HHN. We could talk about HHN all night, every single day. It's what we live for.
Why we should have a podcast.
Yeah, maybe. What was that vote, by the way? Did you ever end the vote?
Yeah, it was 80 or 90% yes,
Really?
10% no.
So we may look into it, but it might be one of those like off-season developments that we do for next year that we get into. But anyways, hey, we want to thank everybody for joining us tonight in this Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, wherever you guys are. Maybe it's Wednesday. I know for some of you guys around the world. Thanks so much for joining us to talk about some HHN. We do have some videos get ready, planned up. We're going to try to get one. I just have like some serious heartburn today, I just realized. But I do want to try to get one worked on this week to put up for next week for you guys. It's just we're so busy. Like our schedules are just nonstop filled. We do have our Instagram series that we're still working on behind the scenes. I'm getting ready. Like I said, you guys can barely see it. If you guys were in last live stream last week, you guys got to see the special thing we've been working on behind the scenes. And we're getting ready to go on that. We also have a couple of videos, some fun videos, some very serious ones that we're going to take with the series. And then, of course, our YouTube ones we're going to get into. So a lot of things we're working on. It's all talk right now. But I promise you, day by day, we're getting closer to actually making it physically happen.
Yeah.
So,
Follow us on TikTok if you don't.
Oh, yeah. TikTok. We do TikTok. Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. You guys saw our Instagram account earlier,
It's
obviously.
all the same.
Brian from Orlando across the board. We will be doing a Twitter account. We were supposed to do it like 2 months ago, and we keep saying we're going to do one, and we just don't get to it. I promise you, by this week, we will have a Twitter account up. And on our Twitter account, we'll talk about things, but I'll probably just use it for hot takes to kind of stir up the pot, get some controversial things, and see if people can hate me more.
And we like take Twitter away from Brian.
Right. So we're going to be doing some stuff over there and all that stuff, but we have some big projects under the way that is just taking a lot of our time. So thank you so much for the patience from you guys, being patient with us, getting content out there. Like I promised, we don't forget about you guys. We're thinking of you all the time, and we're excited to get the content out. We're just trying to work on something bigger. It's eating away at our time, and it's probably a little too much to handle right now. Probably bit off more than I can chew, but
That's all right.
We'll see. We'll make it work for you guys. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us tonight, guys. Thank you to all of our members and everybody who supported us along the way. We're 150 days away from HHN kicking off for HHN 32. Official announcements around the corner. I know that we might be getting another spec map from HN Nightmares pretty soon as well, the next month or two. And with that being said, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for us in tonight's video in live stream. Until the next one, can't wait to see you guys there. And like always, we'll catch you guys in the fog. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.